2025 has really been the year we've shined a light on just how broken our financial system actually is. And it's all starting with the Trump administration. Back in April, Eric Trump gave us a pretty stark warning. He said if banks don't pay attention to what's coming, they could be extinct within 10 years. His take was that our modern financial system is just broken. It's too slow and way too expensive. He's been really pushing for digital currencies, and Trump's right there with him on this. You've probably heard about the recent Genius Act that Trump backed. He's basically saying that our financial system is broken and crypto is the answer. Yeah, he's fully endorsing crypto and stablecoins as the way forward for fixing our financial mess. It's pretty wild that we're actually living through the early days of crypto going mainstream. This trend is probably going to keep rolling for years to come. And honestly, it all comes down to stablecoins being the starting point. So here's the thing. I've been absolutely glued to the stablecoin market lately, and I mean completely dialed in. When you look at what's happening since the new year kicked off, it's honestly incredible. Like back in November, we were looking at $174 billion in stablecoin market cap. Today, we've blown past $261 billion. On January 2nd, we were hanging around $204 to $205 billion. Now we're in this crazy exponential growth phase where stablecoins are literally shooting to the moon. But here's the part that really gets me. We're talking about $2.72 billion in growth in just the past 7 days. 7 days. That's absolutely nuts when you really wrap your head around it. Oh, and here's another thing that'll blow your mind. Let's talk about those USD inflows. When you zoom in on what's been happening since the new year started, it's honestly wild. Check this out. We're seeing individual days where over $2 billion is pouring into the stablecoin market in just 24 hours. That's huge money moving fast. And then when you look at the bigger picture of stablecoin market cap growth since January, sure, it might not jump out at you immediately, but here's the thing. We're looking at almost $60 billion in growth in just 7 months. Think about that for a second. If stablecoins keep this momentum going, we're going to smash through that $1 trillion mark way faster than anyone thought was even possible. Now, when you really dig into this stuff, the network stats are where everything just clicks. According to Economy, stablecoin volumes are going absolutely bonkers in 2025. And I mean bonkers in the best way possible. Just look at these insane numbers. Ethereum's sitting pretty at $3.2 trillion. Base is crushing it with $4 trillion. And Tron's holding strong at $1.93 trillion. Even Optimism managed to pull in $300 billion, which is honestly incredible. And here's what I really need you to understand. These are quarterly volumes we're talking about. When you stack up Q1 against Q2, the growth is just off the charts. We're witnessing some serious record-breaking action here. Here's what's really telling us something big. These network effects from stablecoins are getting incredibly bullish across all these chains. Think about it this way. Every single stablecoin transaction and all that value moving around these networks, it's creating serious demand for the gas tokens underneath. That's exactly why Ethereum's been on this tear lately. A huge part of Ethereum's recent boom isn't just random, it's directly tied to stablecoins driving all this activity. And honestly, it's not just stablecoins either. Tokenization is playing a massive part in this whole thing too. Right now, Ethereum's basically the king of both these markets, no question about it. But what's absolutely crazy is that we've finally reached that tipping point where mainstream media is actually starting to cover what's going on here. Look, here's what just happened that has me completely fired up. Coinbase just announced that the Genius Act is officially law now. They're calling it a huge moment for crypto and a huge moment for updating the financial system. And honestly, I hope everyone realizes just how monumental this is. This is the very first federal crypto bill to actually get signed into law, with apparently more bills coming our way. They're literally saying the financial revolution starts here. And you know what? They're absolutely right. Here's what's wild to me. Those of us following XRP have been banging this drum for over 5 years now. We kept saying the financial system is totally broken over and over again until we probably sounded like a broken record. But guess what? Now we've got the fix, and it's not some crypto YouTuber or influencer telling us this. It's the actual US government making it official. That should be a massive wake-up call about where we're headed. But hold on, there's even more.
The Genius Act that gives the market more clarity. Shares finished up more than 2%. So joining us now from the White House is Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong, along with our own Emily Wilkins. Emily, take it away.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Brian, thank you so much for being here. You got that shout out, of course, from the president. Talk to me a little bit about what this stablecoin bill becoming law is going to mean for Coinbase.
Yeah, well, this stablecoin bill passing is really a financial revolution for America. It means that crypto can finally start updating the financial system, especially for our payments, which are running on these creaky old systems that are decades old. Now, every payment in our economy can be fast and cheap and global, under 1 second and 1 cent anywhere in the world. So this is a huge milestone for crypto, and the job's not done. We also want to get the market structure bill called Clarity passed as well. The president said he wants to see that on his desk by September 30th. We're committed to trying to help that happen along with the rest of the industry, and it offers good consumer protections and regulation for Bitcoin, Ethereum.
And you know what? All these bills getting pushed through and everything this administration is laser focused on, this is exactly what we need to see happen to really accelerate all this growth we're witnessing. With stablecoins exploding the way they are, it's the perfect time to dive into what Ripple's been cooking up with RLUSD. Huge props to Paul Barron for breaking this down. But honestly, RLUSD is looking like a total game changer. Get this, it's already lined up perfectly with the Genius Act requirements. We're talking full one-to-one reserve backing and monthly audits, the whole 9 yards. This basically positions XRP to become the bridge currency for this massive regulated digital payments world that's coming. But here's where it gets really interesting. Every time someone makes a RLUSD transaction on the XRP ledger, it actually burns XRP. That's creating this deflationary pressure while more and more institutions keep jumping on board. The future of payments isn't just about going digital anymore. It's about being XRP powered. Look, I know a lot of people thought that post about the burn mechanism was totally nuts, right? They're like, no, this isn't going to burn any significant amount of XRP. The impact is way too small to matter. Sure, we could say that's true right now, but think about this for a second. When you're moving trillions of dollars over these networks every single quarter, that could easily end up burning a massive amount of XRP. This is exactly where people get stuck in that mindset of XRP will always have this huge supply and it's never going to be worth anything. But here's the thing. The more volume and value that gets pushed through the XRP ledger, the more XRP gets burned. We could actually see the total supply shrink big time over the years, especially once we start hitting real adoption at scale. And that's where everyone kind of loses sight of the bigger picture. Mass adoption hasn't even really kicked in yet for this whole space. We haven't even seen trillions of dollars flowing through these networks yet. When that day comes, and it's coming, people are going to be absolutely blown away by how much XRP actually gets burned through this mechanism. It's going to be wild. Speaking of which, I came across this incredible post by Black Swan Capitalist that just blew my mind. When I read it, I immediately thought, everyone needs to hear this because it explains exactly what's happening right now. So now that the stablecoin bill has officially become law, let me break down how this is all going to unfold over the next few months and into next year. Here's the kicker. RLUSD is basically the Treasury's secret weapon to spread the digital dollar globally while creating fresh demand for US Treasuries at the same time. I've actually been talking about this since way back in April 2024. With the legal framework for stablecoins finally locked and loaded, RLUSD is already operating as this fully compliant institution-grade US dollar stablecoin. We're talking one-to-one backing with dollar deposits, short-term US Treasuries, and other cash equivalents, all issued natively right on the XRP ledger by basically tokenizing US debt and plugging it straight into XRP's liquidity system. RLUSD can handle real-time cross-border settlements like nobody's business. This is literally how value is going to move around the world in our post-SWIFT future. Here's how to think about it. RLUSD is the digital dollar, and XRP is the infrastructure that actually moves it around. Picture RLUSD as the cargo and XRP as this incredibly fast freight system that delivers it instantly and securely across any border. No middlemen, no delays, no messy foreign exchange headaches. The partnership between them just makes total sense. It's absolutely essential. No stablecoin can handle this kind of massive scale without having a neutral, trustless settlement layer underneath it all. XRP is exactly that layer we're talking about. It's like this amazing connector that links up institutions, banks, markets, and digital assets across all these different networks, basically tying the dollar to global currencies, commodities, and tokenized debt all at once. And here's where things get really fascinating. This whole idea of tokenizing US debt and connecting it to gold, it's not just some wild theory anymore. It's actually picking up serious momentum, which is something I've been explaining for years now. Just look at what's happening around us. Central banks are buying gold like crazy. We're talking record-breaking purchases. The dollar keeps getting hammered with pressure. And honestly, the US is running out of ways to fund these massive deficits without completely tanking the currency's value. The reality is, America is pretty much out of good monetary options at this point. Inflation is still hanging around being a pain, and there's just no realistic way to pay back this national debt through regular economic growth or cutting spending. Look, if we want to kick off a real economic renaissance, there's really only one path that makes sense. We need to reprice gold, turn debt into digital tokens, and use XRP to settle everything. It's honestly the smartest way to get people trusting the system again, keep the dollar steady, and give our economy a fresh start without completely crashing things for everyday Americans. Sure, RLUSD runs on US treasuries and cash right now, but imagine a gold-backed stablecoin running on XRP infrastructure. Now, that's an exciting vision for the future of finance that could bring real transparency, smooth liquidity, and rock-solid credibility to the table. I'm really excited about what's coming next, a gold-backed treasury token that could totally change the game for system stability and how people view digital assets. It's definitely something worth watching. We should absolutely be paying attention to gold-backed treasury tokens and bonds, especially as we head into 2026. This idea has been gaining serious momentum, and you've probably heard big names in finance talking about it for a while now. This is exactly how we can restructure our debt and give the dollar a real fighting chance in this century without breaking everyone's trust in the process. And here's the thing, it's already happening quietly in the background. The Genius Act just opened the door wide for compliant treasury-backed digital assets to flourish. The Wild West days of offshore crypto are basically over. Tether's run as this unofficial shadow bank and go-to liquidity source, yeah, those days are numbered. We're going to see much stricter audits and way more regulatory heat in the crypto world, which means money is going to flow out of those sketchy, unregulated assets and straight into the fully compliant ones like RLUSD. And here's where it gets really interesting. When that shift happens, all the liquidity is going to follow right along with it. Ripple's already got their institutional setup locked and loaded. XRP is perfectly positioned as this neutral bridge that connects everything, tokenized dollars, debt, commodities, you name it. If you're really watching what's happening, you can see it clear as day. This is your chance to stay one step ahead of the central planners. That's exactly why I keep saying, hang on to your XRP. This isn't just some random old cryptocurrency we're talking about. It's literally becoming the new financial backbone. And we're watching it turn into actual monetary policy in real time. The Genius Act? It's not just some regulatory framework, it's the spark that's going to light everything up. I'm totally on board with most of this thinking, though I do think it makes sense to at least pull out what you originally invested, just to be smart about it. But honestly, outside of that one point, I'm totally convinced all of this is really going down. Ripple's been setting themselves up to dominate this space for ages now, and the signs are everywhere, right? Big thanks to Anderson for digging this up, because it really brought back all those incredible old photos showing just how connected Brad Garlinghouse is to everything important that's happening. You know how sometimes you look back at historical photos and suddenly everything clicks like, wow, it was all connected this whole time. Well, that's exactly what we're seeing here. These are the missing puzzle pieces that show us what's really going on behind the scenes. Brad Garlinghouse isn't your typical crypto CEO, not even close. We've watched him pop up in some of the most powerful rooms on the planet time after time. The only missing piece was getting in tight with the United States, and boom, we just saw Brad sitting at the same table as President Trump himself. Some people might brush this off as just another coincidence, but come on, I seriously doubt it. This stuff doesn't happen by accident. Check this out. We've got this amazing photo from around 2016 or 2017 where Brad Garlinghouse is literally sitting right next to people from the ECB, IMF, and BIS. Then there's another shot of him hanging out with the SWIFT CEO, the guys who run the global payment messaging system that XRP could potentially replace. And get this, there's also a picture of him chatting with Ross Lecco from the IMF, who's now working at the BIS, the same BIS that actually brought Ripple into their CPMI group. Plus, we've got Brad rubbing shoulders with all these other major players in finance. Now, here's where it gets really wild. Trump posted on his Truth Social account saying that a US crypto reserve is going to boost this industry after all those regulatory attacks. And his executive order actually told the presidential working group to create a crypto strategic reserve that includes XRP, Solana, and ADA. When you connect all these dots, all these high-level meetings Brad's been in, all these relationships he's built, it's pretty clear we're not talking about just another crypto company here. XRP isn't just some random digital asset floating around. There's obviously something much bigger happening behind the scenes. And honestly, I don't think RLUSD is just your typical stablecoin either. This feels like the US secret weapon in the digital currency game. And Ripple, they just happen to be this American crypto company that's been working with blockchain tech from day one. They were literally the first company to be ISO 20022 compliant while being built on blockchain. That's huge. And here's something that still blows my mind. This blockchain company has been hosting their own banking conference called Ripple Swell. I mean, just think about how wild that is. A crypto company throwing conferences specifically for banks. This was happening way back when most banks wanted nothing to do with crypto, when digital assets weren't even close to being mainstream in the financial world. Like I keep saying, Ripple isn't your run-of-the-mill crypto company. XRP isn't just another digital token you can trade. And RLUSD, definitely not your everyday stablecoin. These are all pieces of a much bigger puzzle, the new financial system that's being built right in front of us. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked at all if Ripple ends up playing a massive role in this whole new setup with RLUSD and XRP basically becoming the foundation everything else runs on. So there you have it. I really hope you found this helpful and eye-opening. If you did, I'd love it if you could hit that like button, subscribe to stay in the loop, and definitely turn on notifications so you don't miss any of the free content coming your way. Thanks so much for hanging out and watching. Catch you in the next one.